Hey guys, Raza Siddiqui, Sara Sadat, Life, Love, and the Grind, and we're coming at you live on location from College of Dupage. So what brings us out to make our lives a little harder, come up and set up remote? It's because we are
Because I made him do it.
Because Sara Sadat made me do it. Sara, how did you rope me into this one? First of all, let's start with this. Life, Love, and the Grind, as always, comes out there to try to inform us on issues that are union-related, public, good and welfare for the working men and women getting out there. We have some good guests who Sara was actually able to line up for us, so I'm not hating on her for bringing me out here. But there's a reason you brought me and some other people out here. What's going on?
Yeah, so we are here at College of Dupage, and we're trying to make a difference. And the only way that I know how to make a difference, quick and fast and easy, is by voting. So we're doing our first ever voter registration drive-through event. What that means is you're going to be pulling in, like any McDonald's or any other drive-through location, you will be pulled into a stall. One of our volunteers will come out there and you will be registering to vote, or you'll be changing your address or requesting that mail-in application. The reason why this is so important right now, more than any other time possible, is because of this crazy pandemic that we are in. The numbers seem to be on a teeter-totter left and right, but the only thing that we can do as far as American citizens go is vote, make sure that we are putting those legislatives out there to good use and to continue to work for us. So instead of staying at home, Raza, what are we doing today? We're directing traffic and making sure that they're allowed to vote and getting their voices
Well, that's
heard.
what you and your volunteers are doing. Life, Love, and the Grind is actually out here covering this. So we're putting on a show because, again, I want to remind people, viewers as well as everyone else, this is not a partisan issue. This is an issue to get people out here voting.
No, there's nothing
Democrats,
partisan.
Green, Libertarians. It's about the exercising of your... I'm out here, CWA Unified Council President, to get working men and women's voices heard. We have some good guests. We have actually a nonpartisan lineup of people, Republicans, Democrats, Independent, who are going to be on the show shortly thereafter. And again, that's why the College of Dupage has allowed us to do this, is because this is a nonpartisan event that is getting the message out there to get the voting out there.
Yeah, if you hear that, that's one of our volunteers going for a little bio break. He will be back out here again, helping us out, registering to vote, just like all of the other volunteers that are here. I mean, towards the end of the day, Raza, this is about making sure that every single person has a voice. We already had a few senior citizens come through that are visually impaired, that are just getting a ride here to the spot just so that they can register to vote and get their voices heard. We had people that speak Spanish. We had a few people that just saw my post on a Jeeps group, this group that I belong to, that wanted to show support for a fellow Jeep group.
You got to tell that guy to knock it off. I'm not going to do it because he's a pretty big guy, but I think, Sara, maybe you should.
Man, that Harley, I tell you. No, honestly, this is one of those things that we want to make sure that anybody and everybody is represented. We have partnered here with the political science faculty at College of Dupage, who are also the first and foremost people telling their students that their native God-given right here in Chicago, here in Illinois, here in the America, is to vote.
Well, let me, if you don't mind, you continue to talk. I'm going to bring Missy out here, Melissa, to kind of talk about why the College of DuPage faculty has decided to kind of join in on with what we're doing. And so actually, if you could also introduce the guests of lineups we have in about 5 minutes here, we're going to dial in and you're going to be able to hear us live on the radio, 8:20 a.m., WCPT. Great place to hear. You're going to hear the wind traffic because we're out here remotely. Sara, why don't you take over? I'm going to see if I can't get Missy over here. Tell us about the lineup.
Yeah, so if you guys keep seeing all the cars driving by behind us, we are situated in the very corner portion of parking lot 6 at College of DuPage. The lineup that we have, again, this is one of those really interesting portions of our lives where we need to come out and continue to vote. Voting, again, is not a partisan issue. It is legitimately your given right as a citizen to continue to vote. So we have Congressman Sean Casten telling us what it is that means to him as far as voting goes. You're going to have me a little bit, as well as Missy, as well as Kevin Coyne, who will also be talking about it from his perspective, what it means to vote. Missy, thank you so much for joining us. This is actually Melissa Mortensen, who is the faculty for College of Dupage, who has been instrumental in pulling this together, helping me fill out the proper permit, proper required portions, and continue to co-host with me here with the rest of our faculty that are volunteering. So, Missy, tell us, what does it mean for you to vote? What does it mean to have your representation out here?
Sara, I'm going to take over the interview if you want to hop us up on the radio and the clean feed. So let's.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Missy, what are we out here doing?
Voting is the most basic thing that we can do in our democracy, right? If we want to effectuate change, we have to make sure that we have leaders in place who believe the same things and who are working towards the same things. And so voting is your way to do that. This is your chance. Everyone who says, my congressperson doesn't do that, my senator doesn't do that, I'm the president, I don't like this is your chance to have your voice, one way, right, to have your voice heard. People take for granted registering to vote. Right? We're in politics, we know politics, and so for us it's very easy to go to a website. Mm-hmm. So what we're trying to do is to help people register. This is a community college, right? I'm a community college educator, I believe in educating the community. So this is one thing that I can do to help people register, to help people access that basic right.
Missy, can I get on my high horse? Sometimes I enjoy getting on my high horse.
Okay.
As we were just explaining before, this is a non-partisan event. You're with the union for the teachers out here. I'm a union man myself, and this show representing the working men and women and basically our interest. We're never going to endorse candidates. We're never going to endorse partisan politics. What we will talk about is workers' rights issues, and it's fundamentally important, correct me if I'm wrong, as important as the federal government is, at a local level to make sure our interests as working people are affected. On a local level, in a community college, you guys are directly on the line with what's going on. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Well, okay. I did my dissertation on urban politics and suburban politics. So for me, it's even more important. I would argue that state and local government is more important. That's the stuff that affects you every day. The people who are doing the roads and the schools. And it's not the president. It's not Congress. It's state and local government. So registering to vote, you're voting for your state and local people as well. So it's super important. Come register.
It's gorgeous out here. It's a Sunday. People are out there enjoying with their family. Yet I see that you guys had quite a big turnout. There's highs and lows, but at what I counted, you had like 6-7 cars that came in at once. What brings people, do you think, out to vote when it's gorgeous like this? You guys are obviously doing it in the car to keep people safe, but is it just the knowledge that, hey, we got to make sure that we're out there and our voices are heard? What do you guys do to push this event?
Sara made a wonderful flyer. You guys did a lot of social media, right? There was an article in the Patch, but also the College of Dupage had issued press releases, right? Advertising the event as well. I don't think the weather matters, right? Like it's, voting is important. People are, how do I do it? How do I change my address? How do I whatever? And here we are saying, we want to help you do that. And so I think they're doing the right thing to take advantage of that opportunity. I think it's an easy thing to do.
And kind of tell me how the experience has been putting this together. Is this a kind of a first for the College of Dupage? Is it something that you were able to kind of get off the ground with your position? Tell me about how it all worked.
So COD does voter registration drives periodically, right? But the issue now is COVID, right? And how do you do something COVID related? So when Sara said she wanted to do a voter registration event, something outside, right? And so I would like to say that 97% of the work was Sara's. Like I showed up, so people would think I was involved.
And that's pretty much our marriage too. She doesn't have the headset, so I'm free to say whatever I want to do.
We're trying to think of a way that we could do it safely, right? COVID is an issue, right? And we want to make sure that people are safe, but we also want to make sure that people are educated, right? We want to make sure our democracy is just as safe as our health. And so we brainstorm ways to be. You can bring your own device. You can sit in your car. We can sit 6 feet apart. We can sanitize between. We can wear masks. See, I even got a cute little face mask here.
That's cute.
Yes, except I think it's upside down now that I'm looking at it. It says, oh no.
Yes, we can, Paul. Can you hear us? How bad's the wind sound? And just to explain to our viewers and to you, Missy, we're transitioning from purely online to radio. So, Paul, yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. I can slightly hear the wind in the background.
Is it distractingly bad?
And Zantac products. Well,
I haven't heard it since when we logged on. I heard it, and since then it's been fine. So, I mean, I don't know how bad it is out there, but so far you sound good.
Sounds good. So actually, would you join us for 1 second, please? And actually, if you could make sure our guests are on, so join us. So again, what we're doing now is we are in the process. Sara, Missy, myself, Sean is engaged in conversations. He tends to sidebar just as we're about to go on air, which obviously creates no anxiety for me because, of course, we need no preparation time. But as long as the three of us are here, I think we're good. Sara, tell us again about the guests that we're going to have.
We are going to have Congressman Sean Casten and Councilman Kevin Coyne, both giving us their perspective of why it is important to vote. Voting is not a partisan issue. That is why we have both the aisles of the side represented. And me, who is in municipal government, making sure that other people like me, who look like me, that sound like me, that live and breathe the American values of establishing a house here and making sure that their workers' rights are represented. People like me actually have a chance to go out there and represent other people and elect other people that are going to be there. And you can only do that, Raza, by voting. So thanks so much, everybody.
Missy, rebuttal?
Everything she said was perfect. That was a perfect answer, Sara.
Rebuttal? Okay, so Sara, again, it looks like Sean is engaged in dialogue. Why don't you put on a headset and join me? Actually, Missy, I'll have Sara here.
Okay,
Join me for
so
a
we
second.
have actually
Talking to a microphone so everyone else can hear you.
we actually have Sean Casten on the line right now.
So why don't you join
Raza,
me
if
here?
you would like to break away and bring Congressman Casten, I will take a seat.
Yeah, please take a seat right next to me.
Shop in store, pick up curbside, or order online. School on, save on. Staples. Ends 8/31 while supplies last. Limit 30 in store. Limits vary online. Curbside available in most stores.
Most people know Ravinia Festival as the iconic Chicagoland venue that brings each summer 500,000 music lovers to concerts by everyone from Lady Gaga and Tony Bennett to Los Tigres del Norte and the Chicago Symphony Orchestra.
Join too.
This year, the nonprofit festival is to help more than ever to support outreach, teach, play. All right, the disclaimer's coming up in 10 seconds, and I have both guests on hold.
Okay, both guests on hold. Sara, would you pick up a seat?
Ravinia's not-for-profit mission.
I got it.
Visit ravinia.org.
Life, Love, and the Grind is sponsored by Life, Love, and the Grind Limited, and to the extent applicable, their guests. The views and opinions expressed therein do not necessarily reflect those of the company or its management.
Guys, thank you for joining us on another beautiful Sunday. How do I know it's so beautiful? Because I'm joining you from outside. That's right, we're remote. We're live on location at the College of Dupage in this beautiful weather. If you're watching us on the live stream, you can kind of see the traffic behind us. We sit at the corner of, I believe it's College Road and Lambert. And we're out here for a very special reason. We're joined by a panel of great guests. I got Sean to my right, Sara to the left. We're all wearing masks and being cautious. What are we out here doing?
We're out here registering all people to vote. Not just one people, not just one type of people, every single person who would like to get their voting on, that is what we're doing. We're not only going to be registering new first-time voters or people that have been moved in from different states here to Illinois, but we're also going to be changing addresses, filling out that mail-in ballot for a couple of counties, Dupage, Will, Cook County, as well as any other ones that have online submission forms as well as mail-in forms. We are also going to have an individual here who will help you fill out the census if you have not done that. So again, the most important basic right that we have as Americans is to get our voice out and voice heard. How do we do that? Is by making that chance and that choice to vote for somebody. This election, again, is not always about the big headliners and the big stars. It's about the little people. It's about the people that just walk the same walk as you and talk the same talk as you. So getting those underrepresented minorities, getting those underrepresented communities, giving them a chance to vote is what exactly we're doing here in Dupage County.
Thank you for the elevator pitch, Sara. I know that is what brings you and your group of participants out here. Sean Allen and I are out here to cover what you're doing and also to interview a panel of guests who come from both perspectives, both Republican and Democrat. Sean, why don't you introduce the guest who will be joining us today? And without further ado, I'm not going to keep them waiting. So
Congressman Sean Casten. Bear with us if it's a little windy. We are on location.
Sean Casten.
Sean Casten.
Oh, okay. I think Sean's getting a little impatient. So Sean Casten, and who else do we have here?
And Kevin Coyne, Councilman from Naperville.
Congressman Sean Casten, are you with us?
Yeah, how are you guys? Hopefully the sound goes down. I'm in an airport right now. I'm not in the wind, so it sounds good for me. It's good for you.
Well, we are in the middle of a kind of a wind pickup whirling thing, so we've got our own issues over here. But Congressman, you're in the airport. You taking off to D.C. right away, or what's going on?
I'm unfortunately with them. They were very upset with them. The guys was in D.C. last week and asked us to Philadelphia.
Understood. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Congressman, tell us about some of the issues that you're dealing with when you're out in D.C. What's going on?
They haven't proposed to bill of their own. And we're not sitting here, the folks are not getting unemployment insurance this week, and let's do. The stimulus is along with the rest of them provided for them. Housing support, all these programs, and we know we've got to get it done. I wish these things had happened on the other side. So, we're on right now, we're at the house come back, we will be back to straight water, I think this is something
Fantastic, Sean. Any questions, Congressman?
So, Congressman, we're out here at College Dupage. Bear with us here with all this wind. So, obviously, it's a great voter drive. What do you think 2020 is going to be? You think that we're going to have a huge voter turnout, or?
Thank you guys for what not just to get registered to vote, but to get registered and get educated. Know what issues matter to you. Know what the candidates on the ballot stand for and where they align on your issues. Ask them directly. And be an educated voter. And that requires all of us to pitch in whatever we can, and I appreciate what you guys are doing to make sure that we exercise this amazing tool we have. Don't take it for granted.
You're in a very difficult race. I mean, I don't know how difficult it is. Tell us a little about your race.
I'm sorry, you broke up there for a minute.
He asked, you're in obviously somewhat of a tight race. You're the incumbent. So how's the race looking so far?
I feel pretty good. We, before COVID hit, we had done, I think, 30 town halls. And since COVID has hit, we've lost track, probably another dozen or so, but telephone and Zoom. And they're different. I rely on those town halls. Number one, I think, a good way to understand what everybody's been doing, but it's also a good way to understand where the district is. And what consistently comes back is that this is a district full of people who have a common set of values. You don't sit between Argonne and Fermilab and have people who question whether we should elevate scientists in the wake of a public health crisis or believe that climate change is real. It's a district that knows that we need to make sure that everybody in this country has access to health care. It's a district that overwhelmingly supports a women's right to choose. And again, if we've got educated voters and voters know the issues, feel really good about the race.
Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know what? We need people, out there fighting for the majority of what people want. I think that's the one thing we never really discuss is, we need people representing the majorities of how people actually feel. And I know the person that was elected before you never did town halls, never really felt the pulse of his constituents. So it's good to see someone that, no matter what side you're on, it's good to see somebody representing your constituents and actually being somewhat available, which is great.
So I guess that's a mix on it, two things. It's my number one, representing democracy works when the representative shares the values of the district, right? And I think sometimes we confuse that with saying you should do whatever your district wants. And those are not always the same thing. I think, as a voter, I was a people that have a consistent moral compass, and I know what that moral compass is. And I think it's important for us to ask all of our representatives to say, what do we stand for today, tomorrow, yesterday? If, when we have a president in the White House who is embracing authoritarianism, who, rejects separation of powers, who doesn't do anything when Russians put bounties on our troops, it doesn't matter what party he is. What matters is that we have people who are willing to stand up to him. And it's disappointing that that's partisan, but we need to elect people who tell us what their values are, and then when they go vote, we say, yeah, that's consistent with the values they have. The second thing I think that is just hugely important, especially in this moment, is I've sort of slowly come to appreciate in this job the amazing power that you have to appeal to people's better angels. And that, like every superhero I remember in all the superhero comics we had when we were little kids, you have a great power to use it for good or for evil. Because you can use that power to appeal to people's lesser demons as well. And, and I think it's important in this moment to remind people of our inner decency, of our inner equality, and make sure to be a voice for those people who aren't necessarily at the table.
Congressman, so we're out here live at the College of DuPage for a outdoor, safe in your vehicle kind of a voter. I'm doing the air quotations drive. And surprisingly, as gorgeous of a day as it was, we did have a fair amount of people, the Sara was telling us, show up to this. Is that surprising for you? Do you think that this is something that we're going to see more of or should see more of? What's your perspective on this, and what interested you enough about it to kind of weigh in with this?
Well, I'm delighted to hear that. Particularly, I think a lot of, around the country, a lot of places, we're looking at college campuses and wondering what's going to happen with the school semester this year. And, those have historically been a place where we register voters. So I think I'm delighted to hear that you guys are getting people registered and that people are showing up. Somebody asked me, I think it was a local newspaper said a long time ago, can you name 3 things you really like about Donald Trump? And I said, yeah, number 1 is I give him credit for the women's march. We could probably have Black Lives Matter to that as well. Number 2, he convinced a whole lot of people to become civically engaged and understand how important democracy is. And there isn't a third thing. And it's still true. I think it's terrific that so many people are getting up and saying, if you want to defend this Constitution, if you want to defend this 244-year-old experiment, you got to get engaged, you got to vote. And I'm delighted to hear that everybody's showing up, and we'll just encourage everybody, get registered, vote safely, vote by mail if you need to, vote early if you need to, but vote.
Congressman, I'm going to ask you this. The partisan politics seems to be very different in this current climate than it has been in the past. Sometimes there was middle ground. It's become somewhat polarized. How is it being a first-term congressperson dealing with this? I mean, are you able to find common grounds? Are you able to work together? Is it just a completely different dynamic? What's your experience been like so far? Tell us. We're all curious.
Well, I think we make too much of partisanship because we frame everything. It's a weird thing in this job. Like I'm still like, I was a CEO for 16 years. I don't think of the real business right. And in no business context would you ever say, I'm going to evaluate every one of my employees and my customers on a black and white axis. Are you it depends. What do we need to do to get things done? And what we ask people, values questions. right? Do you think that the U.S. should be the primary defender of the public? Do you think that it is important to defend and fight for all people? Do you think it's important that they have access to healthcare? We're actually overwhelming agreement on that. Those are not partisan questions. And what's reassuring is that when you ask those questions, and I could go on down the list, LGBT rights, protection of employees, and equal power between employees and employers, all of them are important support for those things. If you instead frame those by saying, do you agree with Nancy Pelosi's that? Do you agree with Donald Trump's that? You have to think that in a partisan way. I mean, you ask people to base their time on a brand rather than on a fact. And I think that cheapens the conversation. And as long as we, whether it's allowing the house or whether, with our neighbors or our loved ones, if you frame the questions around values, I think you find that we're not nearly as bright as the media might have you believe. If on the other hand you say, what's the DR point, it's a different answer. But that's an answer I would submit to an irrelevant question.
Right, so the values are American, Congressman, and what we're voting, what we're doing out here, again, are just American basic values. These are the voters that put us in our place, that actually got us elected, and these are the people that we have to continue to answer back to. So town halls is a great way of doing this, but what are your thoughts on women's rights and some civic engagement opportunities that are out there, and what would you like to see differently coming forth in your next term, if elected?
Well,
actually, I should say when elected, right?
You mentioned town halls, and I think what everybody is struggling with, and this is not just in the political realm, the business realm as well, is figuring out how to have the kind of two-way conversation that you can only really have face-to-face. I've done town halls with as many as 400 people in the room. I've done telephone town halls with as many as 7,000 people on the call. But when there's 400 people in the room, you're looking at people, you're talking to them, you're engaging, you don't know what the next question is going to be. On a telephone town hall, it's much more of a lecture. And that's also true if you're doing things on Zoom or on Facebook Live. And I think, that's a challenge I think all of us, regardless of what line of work we're in, we're all struggling a little bit with that right now. We got to get the public health crisis behind us to get back to that work. But I think in the meantime, there's sort of a heightened obligation on all of us to over-communicate, to be public, to be visible, to be available. I spend a lot more time than I used to just calling back constituents to talk to them one-on-one. I think, we did a town hall on climate change, and I think I probably, wasn't people, but I had a question that I didn't get to ask. I'm just trying to take the time to do that, because it's important in this moment to do it.
Well, Congressman...
And I'm sorry, because I can only hear part of your question, so I'm not sure if I totally answered your question. If I missed something, I don't mean to back it.
Well, Congressman, that'll do just fine. I will remind you, just as I'll remind our listeners and viewers, that Life, Love, and the Grind is a neutral show where we never endorse anyone. But what I will say is one of the reasons I am looking forward to getting back to the new normal is your band, man. You really rock it. So I can't wait till that's one of those things that you can't convey in a virtual town hall, that energy, yourself, every other musician that we have out there. I'm with CWA. And there are many Phase 5 workers who are in live entertainment, who are just on the picket lines, who are out there fighting for extensions and some of these relief packages who really need it. I really hope that you stand behind them. For me, it's a workers' right issue. For them, it's a livelihood issue. We want to make sure that our people who have always been there, whether they're iron workers, decorators, whatever union they belong to, bricklayers, are out there able to continue their standard of living. And hopefully, we'd like to pass along that anything that you can do to help those relief packages, that those are looked into.
Yeah, no, look, with that question, we had, when we were debating what became the CARES Act, Ben Bernanke came in and he said to us that this will be the deepest downturn in American history since we've been recording data. It will also be the shortest if you get the public health crisis under control. And he was right on both fronts. And his advice to us was, he said, you need to think about what you're doing right now, not as a stimulus, but as you are doctors and you can put the patient that is the U.S. economy into, essentially a medically assisted coma, and you need to make sure that you get everything cured, you get the disease cured, and then everybody comes out healthy. And that means the unemployment insurance. It means the PPP program to make sure that small businesses stay afloat. It means the $1,000 checks that we send out to Americans, to make sure that they can cover their rent. And then some of the student loan programs, all these sorts of things. And what's so disappointing and so angry is that solving the public health crisis has become political. So we're in now to say that, we need to make sure that, people who are working as teachers, teaching our kids, we need to look after their public health before we put kids back in schools. That's become political. And what's happening next now is why the U.S. is now the world leader in per capita. And it means that the cost of getting through this is going to be much greater, but you're absolutely right. We make sure that the people who have nothing to do with hitting us in this point are as protected as we can find a way to get as they can be, so that when we get some of those people vision back in the country, they can come back and get back to the life.
Fantastic, Congressman. We really thank you for your time and for joining us. We're going to have these commercial breaks to kind of support what it is we do. We appreciate you taking the time, and we'll talk with you again soon. So, Paul, if we could have you roll those commercials, thank you very much.
Financial services firm dedicated to the working men and women who are enslaved. Megan provides custom-fit financial advice and specializes in defined benefit and defined contribution pension plans, as well as knowledge and experience.
Yes, she is.
Satara is under separate ownership of any other name. 60462. I'm at your COVID-19 is changing. Uncertain time.
It's over here like this.
It's really loud.
Just hold on to it. Just like that. And then hold on to your mic with the other hand.
Fight for your rights just so we can do it. Call you out. I'm very ambitious. Men and women are true heroes. From our family to yours, thank you. And please be safe. GWC. For your free remote access consultation, call me 20. We're coming back.
Life, love, and the grind. Joining you out here from the College of Dupage. If you hear a little bit of the wind in the background, that's because it picked the perfect time to pick up just as we came on air here. But hey, we're pros. We know how to deal with it. Sean, who do we got coming on next?
So we just heard from Congressman Sean Casten, and now we're hearing from Kevin Coyne, Naperville City Councilman. We're doing a little mix-up today. We're hearing from both sides because voting is a partisan issue. And an American, non-partisan, and it's an American, it's our American duty to vote. So we're going to shine a little light. We've been getting kind of some pushback on this from both sides. Why are people so fired up? There's a lot of divisiveness. We heard a little bit from Sean, Congressman. I want to hear Kevin Coyne's take on this now.
Hey, Kevin, thank you for joining us. You're on the air with Sean Allen, Sara Sadat, Raza Siddiqui, Life, Love, and the Grind. What's up?
Oh, sure. Thank you for having me, guys. I look forward to talking today, and thank you for sitting out there and rolling.
We certainly could have asked for a worse day. It's a little windy, but otherwise beautiful. There's a lot going on in Naperville recently. I saw with the mask ordinance, with the Naperville Human Rights Commission. Kind of tell me, what's it been like out there for you? What are some of the issues you guys are working on? Naperville is now what? It's not the second largest city in Illinois, is it? Or is it third? Where are you guys at?
I think there's a few cities packaged right there. Three or four. So right there in the red top and that's second. And we are very busy in Naperville and have lots of things to do. And a lot of things outside of the pandemic. The pandemic did a lot of things right now. A lot of very economic providers. And to your point, we're doing what we can collectively to really encourage people to get serious about wearing masks. I can see you now live that you guys are doing a good job wearing them on the radio. We're trying to, we're going to have CSAs come out. We're looking at
I got to ask you, the congressman who was on with us earlier said in a way it's almost become like a partisan issue. I mean, is that the case? I mean, from what I saw, and I could be wrong, but correct me if I am, there are 8 city council people in Naperville, and it seemed like it was unanimous about these ordinances with the mask. Is it a partisan issue out there? What is the sentiment in Naperville?
Well, the candidate I've been come out over the place. There's totally folks that have a wide variety of opinions of the health race, the virus risk. The reality is it is serious. And put on a mask is not difficult, easy thing to do. There are people out there that face very serious consequences if they were to contract the virus. I think it's incumbent upon us to do our part to encourage people to put those on. So I don't know what I'd call it a necessarily a partisan issue. I would say that there's a variety of opinions on how serious the virus is. In my opinion, it is serious, and I think we should do what we can to mitigate it, particularly when it's as easy as putting on a mask. I think it's just a matter of respect.
City of Chicago for many years has a City of Chicago Human Rights Commission. Looks like you guys are exploring it out in Naperville. Can you kind of tell us a little about what that is and why you guys on the council have decided now is the time to step forward with that?
So I think there will be some more in kind of discrimination, if they could report that matter to the city, and the city could bring in the parties and figure that issue out outside of a courtroom. In my experience in the Fair Housing Commission, it tended to be a very positive, really both sides, because it avoided folks from having to go out and file lawsuits. In this case, somebody were to be out and see here or discriminated against, they would have the means to take that issue to a city to figure out and find out what's going on with that matter. And I think that's a couple of very unfortunate incidents that are on the racial context that we don't want to see come to Naperville, be part of Naperville. So I'll give them a black eye. We want to make sure that everyone's still safe and welcome our community, and that commission could be a step in the right direction on that.
So, Kevin, what's at stake here?
Let me just ask you one thing real quickly about that. How does this ordinance, how would it have teeth? Like, what is the enforceability of the Human Rights Commission ruling? Is it something that is basically above civil law, or how do you make sure that people are compliant with? And does a new business coming into Naperville have to almost in a way sign on that they are bound by the ruling of this commission? What exactly is the ruling of the commission, and how does it become enforceable?
Well, I think standards and the number of logistics that have to work out, but I would imagine some of the Fair Housing Commission learning the party that was notified or that was component of us would be asked to that a resolution was not found, or after talking to the parties involved with the city's officer of a viable discrimination claim, I believe the city could prosecute that possibly fines or other penalties in the event that the wrongdoing party doesn't take collective action.
Okay, and I think I stepped over Sara's question. Sara, please, I just wanted to make sure that while I was on the train of thought.
No, that's okay, Raza. You'll be sleeping on the doggy bed today. No worries about that. No, but I was honestly just wanting to know your take on voting and why it is important. I mean, you heard a little bit earlier from all of us that are out here supporting this cause and this movement to get more voters out here, to get all of those that have a voice. What does actually voting mean to you, Kevin?
Everything. It's critical that we have an engaged electorate, engaged communities. Our country was founded assuming that we would have an engaged electorate. And I hope to see voters educating themselves on the November election, finding out about the candidates, and really getting engaged and active. And doing things such as you guys are doing, which is just speaking out and getting people enthused and excited about the coming election. So it's very important. And we have monumental issues going on right now. You have a pandemic that is unlike anything our country's ever dealt with. We have our very large city to the east spinning out of control with violence. We have a state that's embroiled in all kinds of scandal and economic chaos all over the place, really at all levels of government. So if you can't get excited or interested in this election, I don't know when you're going to get engaged, because this really is an election of paramount importance.
Been one of the craziest years, to say the least. Like you say, 2020 has been pandemics and violence, and this political unrest. Where do you think all this comes from? All this divisiveness and this. Do you think it's social media empowered, or do you think people are just looking to lose their minds after being locked away for months at a time on this pandemic? I mean, this seems like such a divisive time.
Yes, I completely agree. And if somebody asked me what I feel is the biggest problem in politics right now, it would be what I would consider call extreme partisanship, wherein logic and reason are out the window. We just stick by the party, no matter how inconsistent the messages or themes might be. I do think social media has had a negative dumbing down effect on our political discourse. I think it's been down, your political comments and ideas have to get down to the number of words you can fit into a tweet or a readable Facebook post. So I do think social media has had a negative impact on things. I don't think it's just Donald Trump's vitriol. I think that might be part of it, but I also think he may have been born from, this political environment that we're all trying to navigate, that is what seems to be selling to millions of voters right now. So I think there is a problem, and I think we all got to work together to bring civility back to politics.
Now, when you speak about civility, there's discussion, even not in terms of politics, but the discourse amongst people in the public. Just again, the discussion, is that one of these prospects you see towards the civility? Just open, candid discussion about what's going on.
Yes, and one thing I agree, and there were different parties, I agree with the Congressman Casten that I think town halls are a really big, a very important item for elected officials to participate in. I've done a number of them. I formed an organization called Dupage, and we're out there talking about drug problems, crime, the pandemic. And I do think it is a way for people to learn more about you other than the partisan label that you carry. And I think that is really important, because right now, when you go off social media and you're talking to people, a lot of people have trouble looking beyond what label you're running as a candidate. I think if you get out there and start educating people about what you're about, and that you're not about extremism, that you have a logic to what you're talking about, I think that's really important. And hopefully we can get to a point where people are just looking at R&D labels and start looking at the candidate and what they offer and what their experience is.
Now, let's talk about it at a municipal level. More often than not, there is no real partisanship in collecting garbage, making sure the trains run properly. These are issues that kind of, it doesn't matter the politics on that level. How are you guys able to work together municipally? Has it been something that you found to be difficult? Or educate our audience a little about how it is on a municipal level to work throughout this context of political, like you said, one-sided.
Well, and you are on a bipartisan board. There is a mix of both. So, I mean, how is that working together on a local level?
Yeah, it clearly is different, though I would say, unfortunately, not just in Naperville, I'm an attorney and I appear before municipal boards. I do feel like partisan rancor is finding its way to what are supposed to be non-partisan boards more and more. All that said, you're right. When you're talking about, a development matter or a zoning matter, your partisan label really shouldn't come through that much. It can on other issues, but by and large, I think in Naperville, historically, we've done a pretty good job of keeping that off the dais and preventing it from infiltrating our decision making. I'm a Republican. On our board is Benny White, one of the more prominent Democrats in the Naperville area. I think Benny and I vote the same, probably in excess of 90+% of the time, maybe 95% or more. So partisan labels shouldn't impact things on a municipal level. I will say that I'm concerned that the trend is going that way, and I would hope that through our discourse and through shows like this, we can keep that from ever becoming the norm in great communities like Naperville and other places in Dupage.
Well, and I think that's just so important. I think it's important to, talk to your neighbors, talk to your elected officials. Like I say, before you get so divisive and get so angry, let's have a talk. Get to know each other.
Wait before all of that, you need to vote.
You need to vote.
You need to vote, right? You need to vote. You need to talk to the people that are coming to your door. Talk to them like your neighbors, talk to them like your family, talk to them about their values and your values. And at the end of the day, it's about values and it's about what it is that you're looking for. It's not about either the right or the left.
Well, it's interesting you say that because you might know Sean Allen and I are both union labor guys, and people are always talking about, well, how do we get the labor issues out there? I'm like, it's not by us sitting here talking about that. Have a beer in your community. Let people over a drink know, hey, he's a cool guy. Let's see what he's got to talk about. More often than not, people, if you tell them I'm about workers' rights, I'm about the dignity of work, they don't disagree with you. We just got to get out there, get that message. This is what it's about, and have that honest, candid discussion. And that, I believe, is the best way to get out there. Just like, again, we had Congressman Sean Casten, yourself. It's been about discussion. It's about dialogue and just getting some exchange of ideas out there.
Well, most importantly, always tune in to Life, Love, and the Grind every Sunday at 3 p.m.
Well, get your diet up both sides, because again, we want to get all the voices out there and tell what's going on in your community. It's not one side or the other. There's room for discussion in everything we do. So let's have that.
And I appreciate you coming on, Kevin. And I hope this starts more Republicans to not be afraid to come and obviously I'm an elected Democrat, but let's have these discussions and let's have some real talk so that people can understand politics in a civil way and not just run to Facebook or social media platforms all angry.
Hey, we go to Lisle, we go to Naperville, we go to every Glen Ellen. I mean, today we're here in Glen Ellen. We have had numerous people show up from Will County, from Cook County, requesting mail-in ballots. These are all individuals. These are all our neighbors. These are all of our friends. So at the end of the day, whatever impacts us, not just here at our local political benches, but everything that is at stake here is at statewide as well as nationwide. So yeah, this dialogue is very, very important, along with voting. So I'm going to continue to bring this back. Voting is probably the most important thing that you can do every single year. So just make sure that it counts.
Absolutely. And if you don't vote, you can't complain. Because you got to go out and vote. Because that gives you the right to be upset, right or wrong, but it's important to vote. So where do you see the future of Naperville? Obviously, Kevin, Naperville, let's be honest, is an incredible city. It's been an incredible city. Tell us what you see kind of the future of it.
Well, you're right. I mean, Naperville's been a tremendously successful community. I think the challenges that I see for Naperville really are not challenges that are born from Naperville. It's just these larger problems that come from being in the state of Illinois, where you have businesses that see themselves in a climate that's not productive, not helpful to be a business here. We have our retirees are constantly. I can't tell you how many times, both as a councilman and attorney, I have great people that are active in the community tell me they can't stay here in Illinois because it's too expensive to live. The taxes are too high. The real estate taxes are backbreaking. I think those larger Illinois-born issues issues are really going to be the biggest challenges for Naperville. Diversity-minded coalitions and groups that are joining us. There's a lot of great things going on. My biggest concern is just going to get people to stay here.
And absolutely. Any more questions, Sean? No, you know what? I appreciate you coming on. Kevin Coyne, Councilman Naperville, Congressman Sean Casten. We've done both sides. I like this civil discussion on the different parties, and the main thing, Sara, is to vote. The importance of getting out and voting, whatever side you're on, being respectful and understanding that voting is the most American thing we can do.
And one of the other more American things we can do, thank you again for joining us, is get paid, right? So let's get our commercials out there. Paul, roll that commercial.
Life, Love, and the Grind is proudly sponsored by Rich Lewandowski and our friends at Breaker Press, Chicagoland's top choice for union printing. We're a third-generation family-owned business that has been helping unions since 1976. We've been involved in hundreds of winning elections, and we get our printed materials to you on time and on budget every time. Whether you're running for the courthouse or the White House, we will take you from concept to design and from print to mail or your supporters' front yards. Breaker Press can help you reach the voters you need. Call Rich at 773-852-5733 or email rich@breakerpress.com. For all of your political printing needs, visit us at breakerpress.com.
All right, if you're just tuning in, Life, Love, and the Grind, you got Sean, Raza, and Sara. What do you think, Sara?
We are out here. Oh my gosh! And
In the
this
elements.
wind, I know. Tell me about it.
Nowhere.
This wind literally came out of nowhere. But you know what else is blowing me away? The voter registration event. I know. Did you like how I did that?
That was great.
Honestly, I am really excited by the amount of turnout that we've had here today, as well as just the sheer energy of the voters that were looking to come out here and request their mail-in ballots. I think I've had more requests for mail-in ballot forms than anything else possible. We did have a few new registrations coming through. Somebody saw my post on the Jeep group that I belong to. So what they did was they came out here representing in their white Jeep, filling out the forms. And again, you know, those people that do not have access to tablets, those people that are not native English speakers, we have a lot of different volunteers here who are able to kind of cater to different languages. So that was another huge thing. We have also had, can you believe it or not, somebody who was born in 1930 come out here and request that mail-in ballot. So these people that just do not have access to computers or just don't want to use it, even college students were filling out some of these forms. The best part about all of this was that it was done from the safety of their car, as well as, you know, with sanitized, protectable things that were disposable for them. So we gave them the papers, we gave them the pen, and everything goes back in a seal envelope. So at the end of the day, this is what America stands for, and this is literally what democracy looks like.
Well, and it's so good to sometimes be involved in these non-partisan events. We have the privilege of having two great elected officials that come from both sides. Sometimes it's like we never get to see that. It's always so one-sided, and it's good to see people come out and vote. And we're just excited that they're doing their American civil, their duty as an American.
Their civic duty. Their civic duty. And what better way to do this than to partner with College of Dupage faculty who teach us the political science department, who teach us the value of voting, and all of the amazing, amazing leaders that we have had before us. I mean, both Sean and I sit here as elected officials. That was not, you know, again, this was not on either of our radars when we were thinking about running, right, Sean? I mean, we did not get into this for the money or the glamour, because at a municipal level, at a local level, this is not about, you know, media appearances or show tunes or anything else like that. This is honestly about making a difference. So again, at the end of the day, it's about, the little people. It's about the elected officials that are at your local level, that are banking, that are counting on your vote. We have so many polls that are out there for the statewide swing of like, okay, this is a blue state, okay, this is a purple state, this is a red state. But you can't really predict what local elected politicians are going to be because the voter turnout, people show up for the values, people show up for what it is that means to be elected and what this individual is going to be bringing to the table. You heard from Sean Casten, Congressman Sean Casten, who just lives down the street from me in Downers Grove. I met him on the train one time, literally. That was my entree in meeting him. And then Kevin Coyne, that lives in Naperville on the other side of Lyle. So these are the two people that are here on the local level kind of doing this with us. And wearing the mask, again, is another one of those things that they both talked about. At the end of the day, it is these people that you guys are voting for. So do your civic duty, come out and register to vote, come out and make sure that your ballot is accessible and going to be delivered to your home if you are not going to be going out there during this pandemic to vote.
Not just that, you got to make sure you vote all the way down the ballot. We talk about these local races. You know what? We all are, presidential races are right in everyone's face, but the local stuff is a lot of work. I know, Kevin, it's knocking doors, it's phone banking, it's really putting in face-to-face time with constituents. So, you put in a lot of work. Make sure when you go to vote, you vote from top all the way down, even the judicial candidates, county candidates.
The judicial candidates are on the back of most of the ballot.
Yeah.
So make sure that you turn the ballot over or continue to fill it all the way down if you're doing the electronic voting.
Especially, if you live in Cook County, there's a lot of candidates. That may be 2, 3, 4 pages.
Great candidates.
So make sure you go all the way down there and give them respect in their vote. Don't just go and vote presidential and walk away because there's a lot of great people that are running and putting in time. Whether they're on the left or the right, they're putting in a lot of time for the community, and there are a lot of times they're very accessible to their constituents. And if you disagree with them, go sit down. You might find that we all have a lot more in common than you would think. What do you say?
Honestly, you know what? At the end of the day, we live and we send our kids here and we grow up here and we want to hold a job that pays our bills at the end of the night, and we're able to kind of rest our head on the bed, right? So our American values are not that crazy. You and I share almost identical values as a lot of other people that are out there, and that goes doubly for some of our elected officials. The ones, again, and I keep saying this because I'm a local elected official. We're not in this for the money, right? We're in this to make a difference and something that we can talk about, that we can better our values and better the impact that it has on our children. So it's, again, not about the money, it's not about the glamour, it's honestly about our neighbors, about our friends, about those people that we care most about. So go out, get your vote on any which way possible. We have made it so easy for, each of the county clerks have made it so easy in Dupage County as well as Cook and Will that I know of, made it super simple to go get your voting done. And this pandemic, make sure that you are being safe. And the next voter registration drive-through event, I would love to see many more of you guys.
And you can early vote. You can early vote starting when? October? They've made it so easy now. And you know what? Everyone has opinions. We have the social media world we live in now where everybody wants to, go and be a social justice warrior on Facebook and go and blast it. But you know what? You can vote. You can run. You can get involved. Me and you got involved. We ran locally. We both won. And you know what? We care about the community. There's nothing partisan about safe schools, great neighborhoods, just what we all like to do on a day-to-day basis. We all like to get along and just, enjoy life. Oh, we're joined by
talking about schools, right? So this is one of our amazing educators here with the political science department at College of Dupage.
Those of our college students, I didn't go to college. I joined the Bricklayers Union. I joined the trades at 19. But for those of you who want to go to college, I highly recommend College of Dupage.
Well, if your interest is political science, which a lot of us should be.
I think it's something good to have in general. I think it's something good to learn. What do you think? We're joined by Melissa Mordson, College of Dupage professor, all around pretty amazing woman. Exactly.
That's how I like to be introduced.
Yeah. So we're being safe here. Mask and all.
Yes. All of us, yes.
All of us. So what's going on? What did you think of the turnout, Melissa?
I thought it was really good. We made it easy for people, right? You can just drive right up. We have a device for you. We have simple instructions, and then no excuse, right? No excuse in November.
So you're teaching all these young brains. I had the privilege of being able to speak in front of your class as a union leader / elected official, and I found it.
Sean, what did you say that there? Let our audience listen. This is Sean's mentality.
I might have dropped
love it
one
when
or
you
two
do it.
F-bombs that I can't say on the radio, but we
How about when you told everyone to walk out and get a job in the trades?
But we empower, we like to empower the working people.
I'm the daughter of a tradesman. My uncles are bricklayers.
I empower working people. I think people working hard and getting jobs is very important. So, and if you're going to college, I think College Dupage is a great place. And I think if you take your class, you're going to go on to do something meaningful in politics. So where do you see the future of our political world with all these young professionals trying to get involved? Is it coming from good places, or are they just pumped up about anti-Trump, or are they just pumped up because of Trump? Where do you see the future of our political leaders?
Well, definitely we're looking at a time right with more activity and not less activity, and I think that's all around a good thing. I'm not looking at it from a partisan perspective. I'm looking at it from a civic engagement perspective. And so whatever getting people off of their couch, off their device, unless you're using your device to register, is a good thing. A lot of people engaged. That's what democracy is.
Don't be shy to go out and enjoy the beautiful weather. Be active in the community. Don't just sit at home. I don't care how much you're on Facebook. I promise you, you're not a political activist if you're not out there in the community.
And I'd like to remind our listeners that you can listen to us live on the app. So enjoy the weather, enjoy your civic activities while listening to Life the Grind.
Every Sunday, 3 to 4 p.m. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and of course, WCPT 20 a.m. Where we bring politics, unions, and kind of everything to what people want to hear. And I think it's important to highlight the people that
We're about that inclusive story, Sean. We're always about bringing as many people on in the discussion, because at the end of the day, we're all parts of the fabric of this community. So let's come together. Let's discuss where we're going. It's not without knowing where we come from that we know where we can go collectively. So let's do that.
Well, and I do want to say again, I really appreciate Councilman Kevin Coyne coming on. I do challenge and encourage more Republicans to come out and tell their side of the story on a show that empowers both sides. We empower the people that are doing the work, not just any one side.
I think we're about discussion more than anything else, having that forum to talk and discuss. All too often we're separated, we're in our silos. Let's get out of those silos. Let's get an honest to goodness conversation going and be part of that change that we all want, that part of that change that really educates and informs what it is that we're doing and make those better decisions.
So Melissa, what is the College Dupage looking like? Are they going to reopen? Are our kids going to learn, or is everyone going to just be on the couch for the next 3-4 months?
They're going to be learning from the couch for the next 3 or 4 months. So most of it is online. If you want to take my classes, we're 100% online. We're doing some Zoom, some online. So far, our auto and culinary is still open. Nursing still open. They'll be coming on campus.
Absolutely. And I encourage young people that have, some passion for politics to take a class. You may not want to go get your bachelor's degree or all that, but take a political class. It doesn't hurt.
I was a political science major myself. I don't use much of it, but it just challenged me to think. And why not? You meet a great teacher like this.
Yeah, and I empower colleges. And if it doesn't work out for you, you come to the Bricklayers Union out in Addison in our training center, Elmhurst, our union hall, and you come join the Bricklayers Union. You work with their hands, or
well, it never has to be one or the other, right? Do both. I mean, why put people in that box? Exercise your mind while providing a good living for your family. There's plenty of trades out there. There's plenty of good people willing to see that your success is met, whether it's in education, the trades, or just a discussion like we provide here on this station and on this show.
You guys are making points about not siloing people into partisan politics or ideology. So let's not silo people into jobs either, right? Or that,
no,
right?
exactly.
We're all pro-labor.
We're pro-workers, so just join the Bricklayers Union. So, but we appreciate everyone coming out. We had 2 incredible guests, and I really appreciate you putting this together along with Sara Sadat, the incredible Sara. It was really, we take our time out of the day on a beautiful Sunday, a little windy, but we want to see people vote. And it's important.
Very important. And this is your chance. Everyone just complains about everything. Get off of Facebook and into the voting booth.
Absolutely. So, Raza, what do you think?
I think we'll catch you next week here on Life on the Grind, Sundays at 3 o'clock. Thank you again for joining us. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.